was just chilling, you thought I was pimping. You let emotions dictate your decisions. This one gon' hurt, it ain't gonna tickle. Your words came to bite you right back in your nipple. Say what I mean, you speaking riddles, but want me to care about the things that you've been through. Don't say you miss me and get sentimental. You believe lies, it was all mental. Gave me the run around like it's a rental, but you ran into a man that's gonna check you. Claim neglect and a lack of respect. That's not
what's going on, Freedom Fit family. It's Shad here with another video. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications. Check out the links below. If you haven't heard the new album yet, go ahead and check it out. But today we're going to talk about something that's imperative for every man to know. And that is, what is the biggest challenge with the common woman today? And I say common woman because it's biblical that there's some women that are righteous and there's some women who are wicked, right? So if you're not a wicked woman, then this video shouldn't trigger you, right? And you know, if there are some ways you could correct, hopefully this will edify you. But particularly, this is for the brothers, so they can be aware of things that they should know as men of wisdom, right? So I would have to say that in the modern day, the biggest challenge, the biggest issue, the thing that is running most rampant with the common woman, the everyday woman that you'll meet, is the spirit of rebellion. That is the biggest thing. And just because a woman is kind, right? Because, you know, she speaks softly, she's nice and all these different things, that does not mean that she's not rebellious. Furthermore, you could just be meeting her representative, you know, that might not be her. And there's a difference between being nice or kind and non-rebellious. For example, you know, someone could go on a job interview and when you meet them, they're very agreeable, very kind, very pleasant to be around. But then once they're hired, you know, about a month later or so, you start to see the real work ethic. You start to see that they're not following the rules, right? They're not as upstanding as they seem to be on the initial meeting. So the way to know if you are involved with a rebellious woman, or a way to check to see if a woman is rebellious when you first meet her, is by simply doing what the Bible says to do. And that is test the spirit, right? Because a man's role in a woman's life is to lead her closer to the Most High, right? To be her head that she submits to in all things. And if that man is righteous, he's going to have the right things that he brings into their dynamic, and he will be leading her for righteousness' sake. So it could be something as simple as, you know, saying you would like her to dress more modest, right? Or potentially removing friends that have been disrespectful to you, that you just know are full of wicked intentions, right? They're very worldly, right? There will be tests with family even, right? Maybe there's just things that are required of her, or that you're requiring of her to give up or to change in her life that isn't convenient. And at that moment, when it's not convenient, that's when the test arises and you'll know who you're dealing with. Furthermore, a righteous woman a lot of the times will be proactive on those things. She'll notice, because she has the Spirit of God in her, when something is off, when there's something that needs to be corrected, when just a change needs to be made for the betterment of the marriage, right? And just the betterment of respecting her head. So that is how you know. And the issue is that culture has raised men and women to be equal. And I would even argue that subtly, we're actually taught that the woman should rule over the man. and men do what the Bible says not to do, which is give their strength over to women, chasing women, having no standards for themselves, pretty much seeking her approval in all their interactions. Whereas you should be selective as a man. You should have discernment as a man. And most importantly, you should always have the willingness to say no. You know, in business, they say the person who has the most negotiation power is the one who's willing to walk away. So as a man, if you know that it doesn't matter how beautiful a woman is, right? That for principle and moral sake, you are willing to close that door, then you're in a good space. If you're in a space where you're coming off as desperate, or you're feeling a void because of the lack of companionship in your life, opposed to being fulfilled by the Most High primarily, well then that's a very dangerous place to be in, because you will lead yourself or leave yourself open and available to be ruled over by a wicked woman. Now, even in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, it's detailed that a wicked woman is actually a judgment for the man who is a sinner. So if a man is living a sinful lifestyle, God will use a woman whose hands are like fetters, meaning her hands are like chains, to bound you and pretty much emasculate you and make your life a living you know what. So I would say that a man has to first be living righteous and have a genuine relationship with the Most High, not the false God of church, the Most High, the God of the Bible verbatim, what the Bible details God to be like, and has matured in that spiritual relationship for multiple reasons. One, he's going to be fulfilled and content by the Most High. Two, he will know enough truth to be able to lead the woman that God brings into his life. Now, as righteous as a woman may be, we still always have to remember that the woman is the weaker vessel, because there's a woman that can be very righteous, but don't ever forget your role as a man and having that willingness to correct behavior when that's needed. And the non-rebellious spirit isn't temporary, right? If a woman isn't rebellious, she's going to be just as submissive in month 1 as she is in year 15. And that's a continuous thing. The reason why the rebellious spirit is the biggest attack on true marriage is because, or I should say, I actually just said what I wanted to say. The reason why rebellion is the biggest issue is because it's the biggest attack on real marriage. And that's because if a woman is rebellious, you're trying to go this way, she's going to be trying to go this way the whole time. It's always a tug of war. There's no steady movement in the right direction with the right order and structure for the purpose that the Most High has for that man's life. That's why, as the Bible says, it's better to dwell at the corner of a rooftop than to live with a quarrelsome woman. A quarrelsome woman is going to be a rebellious woman. And again, it's because the woman was taught that she's equal to the man, if not better than him. So once a righteous man starts to assert his authority or exercise his authority in Yeshua, the rebellious woman will start to get paranoid. The rebellious woman will feel like you're controlling her, right? You know, you have the terms, the synonyms that come with that. You know, he's misogynistic, or, you know, you're trying to cut me off from my friends, you're trying to isolate me, you know, all these paranoid, fearful thoughts and perspective, whereas a righteous woman would appreciate the protection that righteous leadership offers. So I hope this video was edifying for you. If it was, share it with someone else. Please like the video, comment if you feel led, check the links below. I appreciate y'all for watching. I'll talk to you next time. Freedom and truth.